Hello everyone, this is your Peacekeeper, coming back at you with another video. In today's video we're going to continue our series on the US battleship tree. In this video we'll cover the Tier 4 US battleship, which is the USS Wyoming. The USS Wyoming is a very good ship, especially for her tier. And what makes her a really good ship is she's got a lot of armor, really good survivability, 43,800 hit points. But she also has a large number of guns. You can see there we've got 6 turrets with 2 12-inch guns per turret for a total of 12 12-inch guns. That's pretty impressive. The other thing that this ship really demonstrates is how the U.S. battleship tree in particular sacrifices secondary guns for anti-aircraft guns. So I'm going to switch to the Arkansas beta real quick to show you basically what the Wyoming looks like completely unupgraded. This is what your Wyoming looks like unupgraded. You can see that there's a whole bunch of secondaries bristling from every little nook and cranny of this ship, including one straight out the back. There's just a lot of secondaries. And as you upgrade, you'll start to trade off secondaries. You can see all the ones that were poking out the sides are all gone. You're going to start changing them out for anti-aircraft mounts. And in fact, if we look at the Wyoming's AA rating, it doesn't have one. That's because there are no AA guns on it. Compare that to 13 with the fully upgraded Wyoming. You know, nothing really special to talk about in the modules. We kind of already covered the upgrades in the previous video with the South Carolina, so I won't harp on them too much. But once again, main battery modification 1 and damage control systems modification 1. Those are my two recommendations for this ship for the upgrades. Again, the other upgrades aren't nearly as useful. So yeah, let's go ahead and break on down the ship's stats. So combat capability, the amount of hit points you have, 43,800. You do have a maximum firing range of 14.1 kilometers. That's going to come with your upgraded firing controls, your upgrade fire control module. Again, 12-inch main battery guns. And in the final hull upgrade, you only have 6. That's going to end up being 3 per side. 127 millimeter, 51 Mark 7 guns. Those are going to be 5-inch guns, or thereabouts, if my quick math is correct. You're also going to get your, like I said, your AA upgrades. Specifically, I'm going to talk about the ones that have the furthest range first. That's going to be a set of these. You've got a maximum range of 2.5 kilometers. That's when your AA bubble starts. That's going to increase if you get the captain ability. You also have a suite of 14 Browning 50 caliber machine guns and 8 76.2 millimeter anti-aircraft guns, which have a really short range, 2 kilometers, 0.9 kilometers for the 50 cals, and 2.5 for the 28 millimeter quad cannon mounts. For its tier, you know, the Tier 4 aircraft carriers, the Langley in particular, don't have a whole lot of aircraft. And the aircraft don't last very long. So really not too big of a deal. At the end, it's adequate for its tier, but really with this, it's going to help to partner up with cruisers a lot. In fact, if you have friends, get in a division with them, division up, have them run AA escort while you drag them into a fight. A lot of the skills from the South Carolina will carry over into the Wyoming fights. It fights very similarly. You just have a lot more guns. One thing to note is the number 3 gun right here has a limited firing arc. It does not have a complete firing arc like the other guns do. I apologize for the throat. I've got something in my throat, I guess. So this gun right here can be kind of a liability, and it depends on what you're facing off against, whether or not you really want to swing the ship all the way over to get all of your guns to bear, or if you want to get 5 of the 6 turrets to bear. That's going to kind of be dependent upon what ship you're facing and whether or not you're going to end up exposing yourself too much to do it. Because that gun, again, has a really limited arc. It comes just past 90 degrees, but not much further than that. So you almost have to be completely broadside to really use that gun. And there are plenty of times when that's applicable. Just understand that you expose yourself to enemy fire. And if you remember anything from the last video when I briefly talked about the citadels, your citadels on battleships are going to be underneath the main guns and underneath the smokestack. So we're talking about a lot of citadel on this ship. And with that in mind, whether or not you really want to expose yourself to get this turret in, it's just going to kind of depend on what you're facing off against. Cruisers, by all means. Battleships, if he's not paying attention to you, it'd be alright. But she is still a brawler. She does have a lot of belt armor, and she can take hits reasonably well. The one thing that really tears this ship up, though, are going to be the 14-inch guns on the New York. And you really don't want to present too much of a side profile to a New York until it's time to bring the cattle home, so to speak, and you know, put them underwater, basically sink him, because those 14-inch guns do go through the side armor on the ship pretty well. And that's one thing about U.S. battleships is, well, and other nations too. I don't know how much it applies to the Imperial Japanese Navy, but for the U.S., the armor is rated to stop the shell fired from that battleship's main guns. In this case, it would be the 12-inch Mark 15 Mod 1 AP round. The only battleship that doesn't apply to in the U.S. tree in this game is going to be the Iowa, and there's a little bit of history there that I can kind of cover when we get to the Iowa. But yeah, so let's go ahead and take her out and show you what a battle looks like. Alright, so this took me probably, I want to say 7 or 8 battles to get. Team-wise, not too bad. We've got the carrier number advantage, but not the tier advantage, so that's kind of going to be hit or miss in this video. This map plays really well to the strong suits of the Wyoming class. Basically, it gives you enough cover to approach ships without worrying too much about torpedoes. It's not just open water everywhere, but it also gives you enough room to maneuver. Loading AP. I don't know if any of you guys saw the video posted by Wargaming about only using AP. That's bad advice, apparently. I find their advice to be bad advice on this particular topic. AP is where it's at. That's just my opinion, again. I also had some pretty good comments in regards to the previous video, so that's why I'm making this video, and I really appreciate it. And as with the last video, you know, don't be afraid to leave comments. I really look forward to them, and if you guys have suggestions for future videos, stuff to include that you'd like to see included in a video, feel free to post it in the comments. Let me know. Or if you're seeing these videos on the Wargaming World of Warships forums, feel free to drop me a private message or just leave it in that thread that I started for these videos. My suggestion on this map, there's a number of different ways that you can go. You'll see that I'm kind of going to end up going down the G line, about G7 to F8, that line. And there's a reason for that. There's a lot of open water there, and it doesn't trap me up against the border. And it also keeps me in range of a lot of the cruisers and stuff that will be in, that are in this match and that will show up. In fact, it's not going to take too long here, and we're going to get in a fight with good old Noah up here. He was a good sport about this this little quick duel, but we'll just say, well, here, you'll see. You also notice that off to my, well, straight ahead of me, almost to my right now, oh, there's taking that shot and zooming back out again. Situational awareness is important. This first shot, 13,309 health with a Citadel, almost at max range. And poor Noah starts pleading for his life. Understandably so. Here's the problem with cruisers facing off against this poor old Wyoming. If you expose the side of your ship to me, it's going to get painful. Omaha's out of range. At any rate, what I was beginning to say there is, you notice that there is a Myogi and a New York directly in front of me. As I've said in the previous video, angling your armor is absolutely critical to not taking a crap ton of damage. And those guys aren't... I'm probably in range of them. They're not paying attention to me in the slightest. And there's 18,260 on another Phoenix. So here we are, 2 salvos into the game, and I've got 3 Citadels. And as you can see, Noah is taking it well. And you'll notice too, I'm not taking a whole lot of damage. I mean, it's really not that much. There's me not paying attention at all to what basically what's happening in front of me. And there's another Citadel for first blood. So there's a cruiser completely deleted from the map. And this is really what these battleships excel at, especially when you get into a tier 5 match. You're not going to have a lot of oomph behind those 12-inch guns to do a lot of damage to a New York. However, if you get close enough, you can. But from this range, you know, either one of these ships basically aren't going to be great targets. You'll see, I don't think I do terribly much damage, too much damage with this first salvo up against the New York. Certainly don't Citadel him. Again, paying attention to the situational awareness issue. 4 hits and only 3,500 damage. So with the 12-inch guns, you don't have a lot of oomph behind them to do a lot of damage to battleships at range unless you're facing off against the tier 3 or tier 4. What's going to come into play, though, is how well those 12-inch guns don't over-penetrate cruisers. In fact, those AP rounds, as you saw, do a tremendous amount of damage when you hit Citadels on cruisers. In fact, 4 Citadels and I think quite a substantial amount of damage already in this match. This match ends with about, I want to say it's 114,000 damage, which there have certainly been worse games in this ship. Once again, 5 hits. That time we actually got some decent damage, but I exposed enough of my broadside and they're both paying attention to me that you can see how much damage the ship takes. The Wyoming did do that much damage in that was mostly the New York. Noah is taunting me, so I'm gonna, I'm gonna look at these guys and see just how far I have to go. Contemplating shooting them, and then I realize Noah is taunting me. I think I might take one more pot shot. Yeah. Ends up not working out too well, if I remember correctly. Oh, 7k damage, that's not too bad. With 3 hits, especially. So at any rate, I'm going to keep myself pointed towards them, but what's this over here? I just saw Noah pop up. And, well, let's, nope, Omaha's out of range. Noah's not. And we already know kind of what lead we need because, well, we shot at him before. So it couldn't be that far off. So we're going to lead him the appropriate amount, fire off a salvo, and there's another Citadel. So once again, you can see just how effective those 12-inch guns are at Citadel and cruisers. And that's really how you have to play the U.S. battleship tree, especially Tier 4s in a Tier 5 match. The Phoenix, the Omaha, both have very large citadels, but they're very, very powerful ships. If you don't pay attention to them, they can kill you with more than just a couple of different options. They can either burn you down, or they can torp you if they get close enough. I also got this Kuma here, and boy is he attempting target. Except, well, you'll see. Oops. And that's what happens when you haven't played a ship in a long time. I haven't played the Wyoming basically since open beta started for the closed beta testers. There's a perfect example of what happens when a cruiser is shooting HE at you repeatedly. You saw I lost 3 anti-aircraft mounts in that one little salvo he shot at me. Interestingly enough, this island provided plenty of cover for me to be broadside to a New York. This is a bad proposition for him. I mean, there is nothing good about this, what's about to happen to him, except the fact that he's completely distracted. That's great for me. I like it. Here's almost 10,000 damage taken off of your health. And you'll see that as soon as I took those shots, what am I doing? I'm turning. And I'm turning specifically because that Wyoming is there. That New York was there before it got deleted by an aircraft carrier at will. But this battle right here, this duel between myself and Ben a Beast, shows just how important angle armoring is in this game, as well as whether or not it's worth bringing that number 3 turret into a fight. There's a Citadel on a Wyoming, 8,300 damage. I kind of make a reasonably large mistake in this section of the fight, and it ends up working out in my favor somehow, but I don't know. There's Noah being angry, but once again, you see by angling my armor, I'm bouncing his AP shells off. The one did 830 damage because it landed kind of on the deck area, but the other didn't. There's another Citadel for another 8,300 damage. There's another Citadel for 8,300 damage. In the process of doing this, I have aimed correctly to take what was once a full hit point Wyoming down to basically dead. He, on the other hand, is shooting AP at me, and I guess the random number generator doesn't like him enough. And I end up surviving by the skin of my teeth from this confrontation. There you have it. There is a Wyoming taken down, and in that I started off with half hit points, and he basically was full. So that's a demonstration of what not to do. You saw I turned the wrong way and ended up taking full broadside from him, and it took a lot of damage. I mean, it was a mistake. Try not to expose that much of your side to a ship if you can at all. Avoid it. I came out on top. I really shouldn't have. Had Ben a Beast been aiming a little bit better, I probably would be at the bottom of the ocean, and this video probably wouldn't ever see the light of day. But because I survived, here it is. At this point in time, our 2 carriers, well, there's a little bit of me trying to get back into the fight. That's one other mistake that I made, is this ship is very slow, 21 knots maxed out, in a straight line, not maneuvering, and I'm all the way over here in the lower right-hand corner, and the enemy team is in the upper right-hand corner, and there's a destroyer hiding somewhere on the left side of the map. And that's... well, I've put myself in a situation where I've basically taken myself out of this game. And that's, I guess, you know, a lot of people would find that would be okay, acceptable. Me personally, okay, yeah, I've got 1,500 hit points, and I probably shouldn't be getting in a fight with people, but by the same token, my team needs my help to win. I should probably get back into this fight if I can. It's being this far out, it's going to take a while. So at this point, I got nothing going on. I'm just going to sit here and type away at stuff. I do believe the carriers end up finding our destroyer and finding that that he's making an attack run on them. That's going to come up here pretty shortly. And something happens, and well, there's me explaining what I already explained. I risked too much by turning all the way to the side and exposing the whole side of my ship. Had he been aiming closer to the waterline and in the citadel spots, he would have had a lot of citadels. Now, I had 4 before I got into an engagement with him, but I got 4 more on him, and you saw how quickly that takes down a full battleship. But, you know, that engagement showed a lot. Showed the difference between angling, armor, and citadel hits, and what not angling will do for you. Here we go. Looks like the Isakazi's making a run on our Langleys here, and it ends up by a fluke of luck. He ends up having some form of computer issue and ends up not being able to make his torpedo runs. Yep, there they go, asking for help with the destroyer. He ends up, like I said, not getting torpedoes off because of the computer fault that he had, and that's going to help me out a lot coming up in this next engagement. But I'm the closest ship aside from an AFK Clemson, which is really annoying. You know, I basically said, I wish I could help you. I'm a little bit far away. You know, maybe if I start turning, I might be able to get a pot shot in him on my way up there. This is one of the few times I switched to HE. It's quite obvious that the nearest threats are on the opposite side of the map. The torpedo bombers are exposing them quite nicely. And I have no reason to need AP. Those guys are well outside my range. There's a destroyer. I might as well at least try and help out. So I load HE. It's the most effective way to kill a destroyer. And I'm begging the carriers to keep him lit up, because the only thing that's spotting him at the moment are the aircraft. And, well, he just landed his aircraft, and we're getting kind of that residual time when the game hasn't despawned him like it just did. You know, this is definitely a ship at this point in time. I'm getting a little frustrated. This is definitely a ship at this point in time that you don't want to get close to a destroyer. One, you don't have enough maneuverability to go toe-to-toe with a destroyer without some form of cruiser escort, or without a really good hit with HE, or I guess even a really good hit with AP, if you can get it to not overpen. The nice thing about 12-inch guns is they tend to not overpenetrate with AP on destroyers. It can, but this is me being extremely angry with our carriers for letting him go out of their vision range. I have no idea where he's at. It just so happens to be that he hasn't recovered from his computer error yet, and he's stuck on the border, but he'll pop up here in a minute. They're going to bring their torpedo planes into the area and bring him back, which is awfully nice of them. And there he is. At this point in time, we're not sure what exactly is going on with him, but, you know, it is what it is. There is some really awesome dispersion, and I thought I was going to kill him. No. And the destroyer, or the carriers, got him with torpedoes. So now I switch back to AP, and I'm going to start heading back up, but as you can see, the timer is running a bit low. We're nowhere near their cap. We're nowhere near able to kill them. We got a Congo that can't see them, and I can't spell. The aircraft not being in the area of those two ships is hurting our Congo's ability to get in the fight with them, but this is definitely a match where I wish I had Superintendent and had that additional HP recovery. That would have been nice. So once again, you know, playing a tier 4 Wyoming, and this is the skills in this ship are going to translate directly over to the New York. The New York is basically the same ship with 14-inch guns, one less turret, a lot more armor, a lot more AA for its tier. Ironically enough, not as much AA as it actually had in real life. In real life, towards the end of the war, basically every square inch of a New York's deck was covered in some form of anti-aircraft gun. I wish they would put that in this game, but I don't foresee that happening. So once again, my decision to go into that lower right-hand corner really took me out of this fight. I had the opportunity to shoot at that destroyer because I was there, but as you can see, this put me in a position where I literally cannot make any effect on the end of this match because, quite simply, I don't have the speed or the range to get to them fast enough to get into this fight. So for me, we're basically done. I mean, I think I get maybe one more shot off and right as the game ends, but I don't even think it was close. We'll continue going on, but like I said, the skills in this ship are going to carry over really well into the New York, and that skill again is to, I call it wagging the tail, or I don't know any other real way to describe it, but basically you're going to make S patterns or you're going to do loops back on yourself to keep your ship only exposed long enough to fire the guns broadside, keep turning, get your ship angled so that their incoming fire doesn't go into your citadel and cause lots of damage. And that's really the only way to play U.S. battleships all the way up until, well, even the Colorado at Tier 7 plays that way. 39 seconds left in the game. Don't think I'm going to get in range of him. So that was one mistake. So just to recap that part two, you know, I took myself out of the fight by going down into that corner. Yes, I took out their battleship. That was crucial. But by staying down in that and trying to help kill that destroyer, I ended up putting ourselves in a position where I was ineffectual for the rest of the game. And that at least partially contributed to the end of the match being a draw. Well, Noah apparently doesn't like me. But there we have it. You know, ending the game, it was a draw. 239,708 credits. There you see 114,000 damage between AP and HE. Those Citadel hits are huge at 8,300 a pop. You can really take down a ship quick, just like I took down that Wyoming. That almost full health Wyoming, I might add. And there you have it. If you got any questions, comments, concerns, gripes, bitches, or complaints, go ahead and post them in the comments section. I look forward to hearing from you guys. And as always, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.